Bismillah, Alḥamdu-lilāh, salatu wassalam ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Inshallah, for today's example, we're going to be moving to the 7th chapter of the Qur'an, Surah Al-A'raf, a surah that has a lot of stories of the previous prophets that came before, and talks about a lot of the difficulties or a lot of the issues that they had that caused Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep sending messenger after messenger. And it really does capture what was wrong with these societies that earned some of them the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and others actually the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But after describing a couple of them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَوْ شِئْنَا لَرَفَعْنَاهُ بِهَا, that if we had wanted, we would have elevated them by it. So talking about them as a whole, وَلَكِنَّهُ أُخْلَدَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ, but they actually held on to the earth instead. Allah could have raised them up, but they actually were low instead. وَاتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ, and they followed their desires. And then this is when the example comes in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَثَلُهُ كَمَثَلِ الْكَلْبِ, and their example is like the example of a dog. And already right here, I know some of us are getting like, wait, do Muslims hate dogs? Muslims do not hate dogs. That's not a thing. Dogs are found within the Qur'an. They're a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it is this example that's put forward of like, كَمَثَلِ الْكَلْبِ. It's like a special type of dog. إِن تَحْمِلْ عَلَيْهِ يَلْحَث. That if you place a burden on it, it's going to be panting. And that's actually not that significant because if someone is in a tried circumstance, of course they're going to react in some way. But that's what Allah captures about this dog particularly. If you think about a dog panting, it makes sense that almost all animals, specifically mammals, pant from time to time. You'll even see the most noble of animals. I think of like a tiger or a lion. Right after they have raced, right after they have hunted, they're going to actually pant. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala captures, أَوْ تَتْرُكْهُ يَلْحَث. Even if you remove that burden from them, they're going to still be panting. And that's really the essence of what the problem is here. Is they aren't just actually responding to the circumstance that they're put into. They got so used to acting in an indignified manner that they do so no matter what their situation actually is. And why this becomes a big example and lesson for us is there might be times in which we behave in a way that we were pushed, we got angry, we fell into a sin of some sort. And then there's another. The worst example is the one who's sinned so many times, who has had so many of their bad tendencies actually come out that they're so used to it, that whether there's a reason to be pushed into there or there isn't, they keep doing it. It's this idea of people who plan their own sins. It's the idea of people who take on something that they fell into as one of their just characteristics, rather than recognizing I might have been pushed there, but I should normally act like a dignified creature. And the imagery that's really presented here is sometimes we think about a dignified creature, they're usually calm, collected. They're not calm and collected all the time, but that's how we normally picture them, versus creatures that are constantly just looking for their next meal all the time. They're always hungry regardless of where they find themselves. And unfortunately, that's what human beings can turn into. That they can turn into creatures that are constantly just consuming everything around them, or they can be dignified creatures that when their needs come up, then they go chase after them, but they're not always just hungry for the next fix that's going to give them happiness, that's going to quench one of their appetites. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues, ذَلِكَ مَثَلُ الْقَوْمُ الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا. That is the example of the people, or a people who reject our signs. فَاقْصُصِ الْقَصَصَ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Narrate to them or tell them stories so that they might reflect about them. The actual cure out of this is in Surah Al-A'raf, we said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about story after story after story. From the beginning, the story of Adam alayhi salam, then Nuh, then ending off actually with the story of Musa alayhi salam in detail. But why does Allah say tell stories? The issue of these people is they're actually too zoomed in into their own wants and needs. They haven't understood the big picture just yet, so keep telling them stories. It's almost like through empathy, experience the stories of other people, and at that point you will actually reflect, what is the real purpose of my life? It's not just to follow a desire after desire after desire. There's more to life than that, so we don't have to be just panting dogs.